This is the second part of the consultative meeting. You remember there was a consultative meeting on ending the transition at the beginning of September, which brought together the principals of the transitional federal institutions and their main regional partners. This second meeting has been organized with the same stakeholders and with civil society. We brought them together with civil society to make sure that the peace process is broadened, that civil society has the opportunity to express its views on the roadmap and to make recommendations on its implementation. The next step, as I said, we expect the participants, which is clearly a privileged group of representatives, to go out to talk to their colleagues, to their groups, to their constituencies, and perhaps in one or the other areas they will come back and ask us to support additional conferences with similar topics so that further parts of Somali society can be integrated into this process. Also, very shortly we will have a major conference on the Constitution to take place in Garowe. A week from now there is going to be a meeting here in Mogadishu for women's groups to talk about the roadmap and its implementation. And as the process moves forward, there is going to be a series of events on the various pillars, that is security, governance, constitutional review, and outreach and reconciliation.
Aside from the sort of defining what civil society's role is, we also define the part that the public and generally the government can play in this whole process. We also then came to some form of an agreement into how we can actually start a working group that will incorporate both the government and the civil society as well, which can then carry this, this entire process forward tomorrow. Now, the critical point being that we need to get to the public, and the government cannot do that without the civil society. And despite the fact that we can actually try as much as we can to facilitate the roadmap, but it will be the general public who will carry that roadmap and make it into a successful completion. So we need the civil society. We have to work together. They are the brains behind the country, and it's they who we need to have their support with and help us carry the message to the general public, and vice versa. We have to have their input. They also have access to the public themselves. We don't have all the access. They work directly with the public, so they have a great deal of views that are beneficial to us in policy making, in terms of working out our long-term plans for the country. So it's extremely important that we work with them.
The previous meeting, consultative meeting, the civil society was excluded. Some party of the signatory of the roadmap refused this group to be admitted or to be part of the process. Later on they reconsidered, and now we have this meeting which is dedicated to civil society groups in Somalia, and we are quite happy to be here with them, support them, and take their input.
I think this process called the roadmap is very important and crucial for the participation of Somali civil society, whether they came from Galmudug, Puntland, or TFG South Central regions. And again, if the government wants to implement this process, it should be integrated the civil societies in Somalia. It is really great, and it shows, ownership, and it is a good opportunity. We were saying earlier that the civil societies are not part of this process, but now we see that the leadership, the TFG team and Puntland and Galmudug, they are now realizing the big role of the civil societies, and now they are ready to integrate the civil society with the process. So I can say it is a big opportunity for us as civil society.
It is vital and very important that civil society is included in the process and in the roadmap. These 3 days has been very important and very good first step towards that inclusion. And as some of my other colleagues said, I think one of the key for political strategy is that inclusiveness, and a representative of civil society from the variety of women groups, religious, diaspora, traditional leaders have been discussing, and they have put forward the recommendations how they want to support the implementation of the roadmap, and I think it's very positive.
On behalf of the Norwegian Embassy, and hence the Norwegian people. It is a privilege for me to extend warm regards to all friends of Somalia and to congratulate you on this civil society consultative conference on the roadmap. To mention in closing that Norway is a proud supporter of the Galway conference, and we are prepared to contribute also financially to a successful conference in Galway. And of course, we also expect that strong efforts be made by everyone to ensure a successful outcome of the Galway conference and an important step in the process going forward on arriving at a new dispensation for Somalia and ending the transition.
The European Union strongly supports the roadmap, its timely implementation and broad involvement. The TFIs, Puntland, Galmudug, Achlusun Waljima, and also as of today, the civil society are constituting this broad involvement in the implementation of the roadmap. The European Union will continue to support peace and stability in Somalia, as we already do in the sectors of political affairs, in development, in security sector, and also by providing humanitarian assistance. But in the end, it's up to the people of Somalia to achieve peace and stability in the first place.
We agree with Minister Hosh as well as UNPOS that this is just the beginning, and we hope that you do take all of this back to your constituencies and continue the dialogue there. And as a demonstration of our commitment, we have recently identified over $1 million, which we will use exclusively for the Constitution pillar of the benchmark.
Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, your presence here has great significance because, first of all, it shows your commitment to the roadmap and the peace process. Secondly, it demonstrates that this roadmap requires your leadership, and your presence here, the two of you, shows that you are committed to provide that leadership. Thirdly, it demonstrates that in successful politics, the leaders must be linked with the people. This provides the opportunity of linking you, the leaders, and your people. To you, civil society, who have been here for 3 days, thank you for being patient, for being constructive, and being together. Every opening paragraph of your recommendations begins by saying we support the roadmap. And you support the leadership of the stakeholders who signed the roadmap on 6th September. Let me conclude by again thanking you and thanking our international partners who have come to witness this. And I want to endorse 3 proposals from the international community. One is that time is ticking and we must prioritize our pillars of the roadmap. Secondly, we must concentrate on the Constitution, on the reform of Parliament, and on some aspects of governance. Thirdly, as we were coming in this room, the President asked me, Mr. Mahiga, where are the resources to implement the roadmap? Fortunately, the question of Minister Hosh has been answered. The meat is coming. Thank you very much indeed.
marka waxaan naga rabaa anaga inaan dalkeeni iftiinka maanta muuqdo amniga laga hadlay iyo midka gobolada ka soo socda iyo midka hadda magaalada Muqdisho ka muuqda iyo siyaasad inaan iswaafajino iftiinkan nin walba intuu ku dari karo inuu ku diro aan weynino aanan iska daminin.
There is a light at the end of the tunnel. There's a light. There's hope in the Somali cause today. Let us not pour water into the light. let us add to the glow of the light that is in place so that all of us could enjoy.
runtii waxaa ii muuqda fursad ilaahayna waa baryana in fursadaas ummadda Soomaaliyeed inay ka faa'iideyso ilaahay inuu garto caalamkana waa ka codsanayna inay gacan nagu siiyaan road mapkan inta lagu saxiixay TFG madaxweynuhu joogo xildhibaanadu joogaan wasiiradu joogaan prime ministerka u saxiixay TFG committee ku tahay road mapka in la fuliyo.
Truly speaking, I have a hope. I could see hope. The road map was signed in this room. We were all present. The president has witnessed this signing. We all signed it. So let us stick to that.
And Puntland iyo Galmudug iyo Halusuna waa jamaa way saxiixeen ayaga oo shacabka Soomaaliyeed iyo qeybaha kala duwan ay matalayaan.
The same thing, the administration of Puntland, the administrations in Puntland, Galmudug, and Halusuna wal Jamaa have all of them signed and witnessed the endorsement of the roadmap.
Boos hogaaminaysay caalamkana way ogolaadeen wakiilada dawladaha iyo ururada ka socday kulligood way joogeen.
Boos, which was leading, facilitating the process, and the other dignitaries of the international community have also witnessed the endorsement of the roadmap.
Marka kulli hadda waxa muuqda in roadmapki uu jidkii uu ku toosay maanta oo jidku ku fuli lahaa waana rajaynaynaa inta walaalaheen oo looga maarmin oo Soomaaliyeed inay nagu raacaan haddii wax ka tirsanayeen hata inay nala qaataan.
The roadmap is on track. It's moving. I also appeal to my fellow Somalis in the event some Somali sectors are not happy with it. Let them add their voice to us and support us in the process of implementing the roadmap.
waxaan u maleynayaa inuu ka kooban yahay 4 qodob oo waaweyn oo haddaan ku guuleysano noo hogaaminaysa inaan gaarno goolkaan u socono.
I think there's 4 important pillars that we have to focus on the roadmap, which will allow us, if we complete those, to move forward.
intaanaan fulintooda gudagelin waxaan u baahannahay inaan isweydiino see u fulinaa see uga wada qayb qaadanaa.
Before we go into full implementation, we need to discuss how we can implement and how we can all take part.
shaqo kastoo la qabanayna kuma bilaabo karto dadkoo dhan in hal mar la isu keeno laakiin muhiimaddu waxay tahay in shirarka sidaan ay socdaan mar walba cid cusub oo wax ku kordhinaysa ay ku soo biirto.
And of course, if you're at the beginning process of anything, you can't get everybody together, but the important thing is we start with the meetings and we go forward.
Marka waxaan rajaynayaa dadka kale oo iyaguna muhiimka ah inay ku soo biiri doonaan.
I'm hoping that the other important people that will come and contribute to these meetings as well.
maxaa yeelay marka la gabagabeeyo roadmapka meesha ay tahay inay wax ku dhamaadaan yani waa dawlad cusub in la dhiso oo yani dawladda caadiga ahayd
because when we finish the implementation of the roadmap, what we want to do is move to a full state, full nation.
marka waxaan rabnaa ugu yaraan inta laga qayb gali karo inay ka qayb galaan processka diyaar garowga.
So we want to have as many participants as possible to implement this process.
sida ambassador Mayiga uu ka dhawaajiyay yani shirkan iyo shirarkii ka horeeyay political outreach-kii waa qabsoomay.
Of course, as been mentioned by the Ambassador Mahiga, this meeting and the meetings before has allowed us to start the process of political outreach.
waxaa fursad weyn ah in international community ay meel noola jeedaan oo ayaguna ay diyaar u yihiin ay gacan naga siiyaan hawlaha ku qoran roadmapka sidii loo dhamaystiri lahaa.
We have an opportunity in the international community standing with us to support us in implementing the roadmap.
dareenka wanaagsan oo Soomaalida ha noqdaan kuwa jooga gudaha iyo kuwa dibadda joogana waxaan aaminsanahay inay naga caawi doonaan inaan hore u socono.
And also the feeling that we get in from the Somalian people, those inside the country and those outside, it's given us a feeling that can help us continue and go forward.
muhiimaddu waxay tahay see u dareensiin karnaa dadka Soomaaliyeed dhamaantood inay muhiim u yihiin processka nabadda.
But it's important to emphasize that we need to make sure that we let all Somalis know that it's important for them to take part in this process.
shirkan civil society ayaana bilow fiican u ah oo aan rajaynayaa in uu hogaami doono inay dadka Soomaaliyeed ee muhiimka ka wada qayb qaataan processka nabadda.
Of course, this is, I think, important meeting, the civil society, and I think it's the one that would lead the other meetings in the future.
Ujeedada aan ka rabnana waxay tahay marka la gaaro xilliga kala guurka dhamaashadiisa annagoo isku aragti ah oo isku meel u soconnaa inaan gaarno halkaas.
The objective is when we reach the end of the transition, we want to be all on the same page and go for the same objectives and achieve the same goals.
maadaama hawsha taale ay hawl culus tahayna waa u baahannahay qof kasta Soomaali inuu gacan naga siiyo iyo international community-ga ba shaqada culus ee noo taala.
And because we have we have to undertake huge steps in implementing this, so we need the help of every Somali, and as well as the help of the international community.
Marka qofna lagama maarmo, qof walba waa muhiim.
So in that case, we can't afford to leave anyone out. Everybody is important.
Waxaa la yiraa maamada Soomaaliga waxay tahay intii hal dhibto laba ma dhibto.
And there's a say in Somali, those issues that bother one doesn't bother two.
Marka inaan gacmaheena isugu geyno waxaan aaminsanahay inay tahay xigmad.
So for us to unite, I think it's a good thing.
Nairobi Civil Society. It's very nice. Excellent. Everything okay.
Everything is okay.
Yes, we're so very happy.
It has been a very engaging meeting in terms of participation and outcomes of the discussions. The recommendations that came out are really complementary to the roadmap and are focused on implementation. There was unanimous support for the roadmap and for the signatories to the roadmap, and looking forward to the leadership of all the signatories, but with the active participation from the civil society in the implementation of the roadmap. It's very encouraging indeed. First of all, he demonstrated leadership, which we have all been looking to. Secondly, he definitely showed commitment to the roadmap. And thirdly, he raised issues that carry positive and sometimes challenging messages to all the stakeholders, to the civil society, including the international community. But he ended on a positive note that he wants all of us to work together and to the extent possible to implement the roadmap within the given time frame. So I was looking to this kind of presence of the Speaker and the President together. These are really key stakeholders as we are about to complete 6 months since the signing of the Kampala Accord. This is really a major milestone, and the message is energizing and recharging all of us as we bring the civil society into the political participation forum.